Welcome to the Unfuck Your Fitness podcast. I am your host, Christy Castillo, and I'm here to give you real talk and cut the BS so you can actually enjoy building a body you love. I'm a personal trainer obsessed with giving you simple action steps to take you from feeling stuck to feeling sexy. Let's go. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to today's episode. We are going to be talking about carbs today, and I'm excited about it because I'm kind of fired up. I know, surprise, surprise. I am still sometimes shocked and I don't know why. I don't know why I'm still sometimes shocked. I think maybe the community of women that I surround myself with being, mostly people like me in the sense that things I follow on social media, women that I talk to are other personal trainers. We work out, we kind of know all the things. And then I have, my clients, of course, that I hang out with online and I'm talking to all of the time. And they are even in a pretty good place coming to me knowing that they're going to have to eat carbs. Like we're going to fix their relationship with carbs. So even if they come to me thinking carbs are bad, I can't have carbs, or I currently don't have carbs, they kind of know where we're going in response to that. So they don't put up too much of a fight. But I do have some very specific times when I've been told by clients coming to me, like, I am so scared of carbs. I currently will not eat a carb. Or I am just so scared. Like, I know carbs make me fat. I know, Christy, you don't think that they make me fat, but you don't know me. They do make me fat. I can't even look at, if I look at bread, I get fat. Or if I even smell bread cooking in the kitchen or whatever, I will get fat. Like, you don't know me, Christy. And so, I've heard all of the things. But I talked about a couple weeks ago the fact that I'm approaching or in the middle of, or something's going on with perimenopause for me. I've been, of course, researching all the things, and I already knew this, but what's being confirmed for me is that, one, thank God I fixed my relationship with food and workouts and my body at this point in time, because I'm so glad for health reasons that I have a good amount of muscle on my body, less than I used to for sure, just because of the last year and my lack of consistency and lifting heavy weights in the gym, to be honest. Also, my relationship with food, I've been slacking on like tracking and things like that. And that's just because I've been in this season of life where I needed some rest. I needed some balance in terms of treating myself with a little more grace and a little more kindness. And I needed rest, and that's totally fine. In taking that rest, yes, I did start consuming more carbs, and I started being a little less frequent with my tracking and my training and my weights and all the things. And coming out of that, now kind of coming into perimenopause, and I'm reminded of the importance of having muscle on my body, because as we age, it gets harder to put muscle on. I'm reminded that it's so important for my body to have carbs for energy, for metabolism, for hormone health as I'm aging. And I'm so thankful that in my 30s, I guess, I really fixed my relationship with these things. And I didn't do it with perimenopause, right, and aging in mind. That's not why you ever, I don't think, would start this in like your 20s and 30s and be like, well, I'm 25 years old, but when I'm 50, I just don't think that's why we ever would do those things. That was not what lit the fire under my ass to get up and work out every day, or, track my food and fix my relationship with food. Not at all. But right now, I'm seeing such a difference in myself and how I'm able to, and how I'm going to continue to be able to continue this journey. And like, I'm just really, really thankful for the amount of muscle, for the amount of carbs I'm able to eat, for my relationship with food being good, because I have current clients where that's not the case. And it will be the case for you. If you are my current client listening and you just signed with me, or you just started working with me, or you've been working with me for a while, I'm not like obviously bragging and saying like, oh, I'm so much better than you because X, Y, and Z I started before you, or I have more muscle. You already have an advantage because you've already started, and we're going to kickstart that and work really hard for you. What I'm irritated about is that things like this kind of irritate me in the sense that there are still women out there. What pisses me off the most is that there's still women out there in different health fields, companies, whatever, saying low carb is best, or even low fat is best, or low calorie is best, or lifting light weights is best. And that's just not fucking true. The fact that there is still misinformation out there really pisses me off. The next thing that pisses me off, not quite as much because it's not necessarily your fault. If you are a personal trainer and you are, certified in this space and you are telling people lies like that, that's ridiculous and there's no excuse for it. But as women, if I still at this age, 42, had not taken the time to learn my body and learn what's healthy for me and what's best, and if I were still afraid of carbs, that's a little bit on me. And it really frustrates me sometimes that there are those of you out there that still are afraid of carbs. And it's not your fault, so I'm not like mad at you. I'm just mad that we're not being taught this in the right way. And in this episode, I am going to talk about carbs, and I am going to give a little, at the end, I kind of want to go into sugar mostly because I think carbs kind of speak for themselves in the sense that we're freaking scared of them and we don't need to be. So that's kind of what I wanted to start this with, is why I'm just a little pissed, because it's so important that you start putting on muscle. It's so important that you start eating carbs gradually. If you must, that's fine. So your body gets used to them and you get used to them and you understand that this is not the problem and they're not quote unquote bad for you and they're not going to quote unquote make you fat. They're not going to make you gain weight. Eating too many calories, period, in general, will make you gain weight. You could eat too much chicken and gain weight. It's not the carbs. Okay. So let's cut the shit, shall we? That slice of bread. I always hear bread is such a bad thing. And I've been talking to a couple people about this. I actually looked up, I wish I had it in front of me. I looked at the back of our package of bread the other day. I'm not even sure why, and looked at the calorie amount. And I'm not going to quote it, but it was ridiculously low. The carb amount and the calorie amount in one slice of white bread, it's probably Wholesome brand. I think it was an orange package. Anyway, it's fluffy. It's nice. Good bread. I looked at that and was like, why are we even afraid of bread? Why are we afraid of bread? If you look at the nutrition facts of bread, it's literally not bad. So what is the problem? But that slice of bread on that sandwich or whatever, or the cup of rice, or the sweet potato, or the candy bar for that matter, or the couple of Oreos or mini eggs that you won't eat because you will get fat. Let's mainly talk about the healthier things though. The slice of bread, the cup of rice, the sweet potato. Those are pretty healthy things on the health spectrum. Like you would think like a sweet potato is healthy food, right? Rice, most people would think of that as healthy. Like probably I'm afraid of it, but I think it's healthy, right? For some reason it makes me fat, but I think other people would qualify it as healthy. Maybe you're in that category, but that is not the reason. That's not the problem. The sweet potato, the cup of rice, the bread that you won't eat because you quote unquote will get fat, that's not the problem. I've had some clients that will not even eat fruit because it has sugar in it, and sugar, quote unquote, is carbs and it's bad for them and they won't eat it. Fruit. Imagine thinking that fruit is going to make you fat. Yeah, will too much fruit make you fat? Maybe, but just like I said, too much of anything will make you fat. So it's not the fruit, it's not the rice, it's not the slice of bread, it's not the sweet potato, right? Because these same people that come to me like, will not eat a banana, will not eat an apple with peanut butter are like, no, it has sugar. Sugar is carbs. That's bad for me. These same people have logged McDonald's for lunch in their MyFitnessPal, and I guess that's fine. There's just the discrepancy is alarming when we really, really look at it. And I think that's kind of the magic of it all, is like, I have clients who finally start to track their food and they do the things that I tell them in one-on-one coaching, and they're like, oh, I get it now. I was starving my body. Imagine me starving my body and thinking it's going to reward me, right? And I'm like, yep, that's exactly what's happening. Why do we do that? I don't know. So if you think that by eating some carbs, you're going to get fat, or that's what made you fat, I get it because I've been there. But let's bring it back to reality, because you see people all the time. This was me when I was afraid of carbs and bread and all the things. When I first started eating carbs, I only ate quote unquote healthy carbs. I also was scared of rice and bread and all the things. I would eat sweet potatoes. I don't remember. I can't really go back that far, honestly, but I would eat, the oatmeal, I guess. Like I would eat the quote unquote healthy carbs, which what's the freaking difference? At the end of the day, nothing. But I remember those days, so I get it. But I also remember seeing people who had the body that I want eating carbs and thinking, well, I can't eat the carbs, but they can, I guess. And that's just not true. If her body can process the carbs and she looks good, so can mine. I just had to figure out why. And that's where we're not putting in the work. That's where we get lazy and we're like, no, carbs are bad. If I smell bread or look at bread, it goes right to my ass or, whatever, right to my fupa. Like, no, it doesn't. Stop saying that. Stop saying that and figure it out. It doesn't. So yes, our bodies process things differently. Some ladies do better with higher fat. Some ladies do better with carbs. That can be due to like food intolerances, gut issues, things like that. So across the board, of course, I probably, this is where I can kind of catch myself too. I would say that, my stomach is happier when I have hummus, mostly fat, as opposed to Oreos. But it's not necessarily that we're not comparing fats and carbs at that point. We're comparing, fats with like simple carbs. So it would be the same as like an avocado and an Oreo. Like that's not the same thing. An avocado being fat and a Oreo being carb. I mean, it would be that you can't really compare those two things. Where a sweet potato being a carb and an avocado being a fat, those would be two things, whole foods, natural foods that I could compare. But I think that's where I even do the same thing. I'm like, no, my body does process fats a little bit better. Yeah, because I'm comparing hummus to Oreos. Of course, my body feels better when I have the hummus. No shit, Christy. It's the Oreo, it's the sugar, it's the processed ingredients. Duh. So those are the types of things though that we can do. I'm sure you can think of an example for yourself just like that, where you're like, my stomach feels great when I process fats or protein, but as soon as I have a carb, meaning maybe bread or an Oreo, my body gets pissed, right? That's why it's kind of silly to just compare fats and carbs and proteins and say that one of them is the reason that you gained fat, because it's really just not true at the end of the day. Under eating and then binge eating is usually the problem. That can be a really big problem, because when you're under eating during the day and even at night or just in general on the weekends, whatever, those kind of things, when you overeat, it's usually carbs. On the weekends or whatever, we're usually drinking alcohol, we're usually eating pizza, French fries, burgers, Oreos, snacks, chips. So then you think carbs made me fat. Well, that's all you ate when you overate. You didn't overeat on chicken. You didn't overdrink protein shakes. So yeah, those carbs and the excess of calories perhaps helped you or, attributed to your weight gain, your fat gain, but it's not the carbs' fault. It's because you overate them. Does that make sense? So it's not the carb itself. It could be, let's think about this. It's probably not the fruit, probably not the apples and the bananas, but it could be your daily Starbucks drink that has 500 calories in it alone. It could be the fast food #1 value meal that has 800 calories alone. It could be the 3 pieces of cake you snuck from the break room. It could be that you starve yourself on weekdays and then on the weekends you eat all the chips and the garlic bread and the pizza and the alcohol and the French fries and the things I just mentioned that you eat until 2 a.m. because you're up with your friends. It could be those weekends. It could be the fact that you restrict early in the day, right? You don't eat until noon, and then let's say you're not even hungry, so you really don't start to eat until 2, and then you don't have dinner planned, and then something falls apart with the family or the kids or whatever, and then you're starving, and so then you're snacking, and then you're hungry So then you're eating all night. It could be the gallon of ice cream that you ate because you were sad and you're sitting in front of the television. It could be the container of Oreos that you ate because you're so freaking hungry and you restricted all day and you're like, fuck it, I'm just going to eat this bag of Oreos. It could be those things. So maybe let's take a really good, honest inventory of what are we doing? And this is something that I have to do too. I know that sometimes I'm just not putting in the work. And I've had to be really honest with myself lately. Going into cut season, going into a cut, I'm kind of like doing this audit on myself of like, what am I currently eating? What can I kind of take out and just stop eating, stop little bad habits right now, slowly to get ready to really cut my calories. I need to start tracking again. I need to start lifting heavy again. I need to like do all these things to get ready for my cut. It's helpful to not go from like, just kind of like winging it over here to then being very, very strict on a cut. So I'm doing this little audit. And what I found was I was having bites and snacks all day long. And then I was like every day wondering, why do I feel bloated? Why am I feeling inflamed? Why are my clothes so tight? Well, dumbass, it's because you basically are eating all day long because carbs are not bad for me. So I can go ahead and have them. And then it got a little out of control. So yeah, it's easier to just kind of cut those things, cut the snacking. But I'll tell you right now, I wasn't overeating protein. I was hardly hitting my protein goal and I'm going way over in fats and carbs. So if anything, I needed to pull back on my fats and carbs, not because they're bad or making me fat, but because when I tracked it, I was overeating on those things. So that's another thing is we need to understand, well, first of all, we need to understand that carbs are not the problem in general. We are the problem. The overconsumption of them, the lack of planning, all this bullshit that I mentioned, Starbucks, friggin' Big Macs, whatever, right? All of that stuff is the problem. It's not carbs. So let's narrow that down. We need carbs and we need to start eating more and we need to lift weights and we need to treat our bodies kindly and act like we care about them if we want to get the results that we want. We also need to stop acting like we're putting in the work if we're not putting in the work. And that's me too. That's me lately where I'm like, I act like I'm so surprised that I'm up in weight and my clothes are feeling tighter and I'm nowhere near ready to cut. Like I'm nowhere near what's going on. When I took an audit, I would say to you, like, I'm doing all the things right. I'm doing all the things. I'm doing everything that I used to be doing. Nothing's changed, which is total lies. Like when I really looked at it, I was not putting in the work. I was acting like I was putting in the work. And when I did an audit, I was most certainly not putting in the work. So let's call ourselves out on the bullshit. If you're not putting in the work to lose weight, lose fat, build muscle, insert any goal, then let's stop acting like we are. Let's be real, because that's really helpful when we can blame ourselves instead of the carbs, instead of the workouts, instead of the calories or the macros, when we're like, no, actually, I'm just not doing what I need to be doing. It makes it a lot more simple. For me, I was like, nope, Christy, it is your fault and you're not putting in the work. So start putting in the work and you'll feel better. And I have, and I do already. Let's stop thinking that the sweet potatoes with chicken and a side salad are the reason you can't lose weight at night. Let's stop with those things, right? Are you tracking everything you put in your mouth? If you're like, I'm in a calorie deficit and I'm not losing weight, but then I really ask you about it and you're like, well, I do have little snacks here and there, or I didn't track this food because I didn't want you to judge me. Well, then you're not tracking everything and you're definitely not in a calorie deficit, period. Are you paying attention to what you're doing? Are you paying attention to the little bites and the little things and the step amount that you're not taking and the water that you're not drinking and the shitty sleep that you're getting? Like, pay attention to all of those things, to your macros, specifically if we're talking about carbs and fats and proteins. If we're talking about overeating carbs, are you paying attention to them in your macros? Are you hitting what your coach told you to hit, not what an online macro calculator told you to hit? Are you working with someone who knows your lifestyle, your goals, and are you hitting the macros that they want you to hit? Pay attention to that. That's important. Are you eating enough? If you're not eating enough, your body will store fat. That could be it. It could be the not eating of the carbs. Are you eating an all processed shit diet? If so, that's not good, right? We don't want to just be eating bread and Oreos and cookies and mini eggs. That's not good either. On the same token as lifting weights will not make you look manly, because you see a lot of women out there that are ripped as hell lifting heavy weights and they don't look manly. We need to stop with the excuse that carbs will make us fat. The weights are not the problem. Carbs are not the problem. But I will say, to kind of sum this up, when you come from a restrictive mindset of carbs are the problem and I can't eat this much and I need low calorie and, food is bad, when you come out of that mindset, you will likely go to the other side eventually. And this is where I can get often to where carbs are okay. I can have some Oreos. I can have some mini eggs. I can have some ice cream. I can. And then I can maybe not track all the things because I know what I'm doing. This is my job. Like, I'm good. I know what I'm doing. And then we can go a little crazy. When we go a little crazy, it's usually with simple carbs, processed carbs, quick digesting carbs, and specifically sugar. Sugar is a type of simple carbohydrate. Your body breaks down simple carbohydrates really, really quickly. And as a result, your blood sugar levels arise and then they drop quickly. So after consuming Oreos and mini eggs, and sometimes even bread, it depends. Like if you're having a sandwich, if I'm having 2 pieces of bread, 2 slices of bread, some turkey, some mayo, some cheese, like if I'm kind of beefing that up, right, have some avocado on there, throw on some greens, like that's a balanced sandwich. If I'm just eating a slice of bread, then yes, it will process, my body will digest it very, very quickly, naturally occurring in milk and fresh fruits as well. But yes, sugars and simple carbohydrates are usually these processed foods. Sugars are also found in energy drinks. This is something I want to touch on really quickly because sugar goes by a lot of different names. Let me think of a couple. Agave nectar is sometimes in like organic things, cane syrup or corn syrup, of course, dextrose, fructose, and sucrose. My brain. Honey, and then of course like sugar. When you see something, usually a can, and I get this with energy drinks a lot. I get people that ask like, is the reason you drink that specific energy drink, Christy, because it's sugar-free? Or I got this because it's sugar-free. It's not. If you read the label, it usually will have one of those sugars listed on the back of it. It says sugar-free on the front because most likely they've swapped actual sugar with a substitute, just so on the front it can say 0 sugar because it got you to buy it, right? That was the exact marketing strategy on that. I want you to be very careful on sugar-free things because they're usually not sugar-free. And I want to specifically say that it's hidden in a lot of things. So for me, actually today I tried a poppy drink. I'm going to try to cut back on little things. I've cut back on just little things, like I said, here and there to kind of get myself ready because I don't need to be eating like shit all the time. And it's okay to cut back, right? Carbs are not the problem. Sugar is not the problem. It's not quote unquote bad for you if you have it in moderation, but we can very easily get out of control with carbs. My favorite food is like pizza. I love sugar. I love Oreos and mini eggs, not to be redundant, like no kidding, Christy. I love that stuff and I can have it. It doesn't make me fat, but it is simple and it is quick digesting. So I get this really high and then I get this really low where I want more because I want to feel that high again. And then I drop, my blood sugar drops, and then I want to feel that high again. So I eat more and it drops. So I want you to be very, very cautious of having different things. I love my chocolate rice cakes with peanut butter and chocolate hummus and my caramel rice cakes with my apple pie filling and a little bit of whipped cream. I love my thick and fluffy Kodiak waffles with some canned fruit on there. Again, there's sugar in that, but it's better than just having some Oreos. So kind of pair your simple carbs. If you're going to have processed, quick digesting carbs, pair it with something that does have a little more substance. But what I want to say is there will become a point in your journey where carbs do become your friends again and you can get too much of them. And it's okay to say, I'm backing off of this. Not because, like we're doing that from a good mindset of not because this is bad for me and I can't have these sugary things, or not because they're making me fat, but because I choose to do better. I choose to treat my body better. I don't want to look and feel the way that I do right now. So it's okay to cut them out. It's okay to add them back in if you're in that season, and it's okay if you're past that season and you're like, okay, let's settle down here. It's okay to cut them back out. Only because if you're tracking and you're finding like every single day I'm going over on my carbs, look through your list of carbs that you're tracking and what are the easiest to cut out. I would leave a couple. I'm going to have 2 Oreos a day. Right now I'm going to have a handful of mini eggs a day. A handful is probably like 8, maybe 10. Okay. And that's not very many for me. I would very quickly eat the whole bag. So for me to have just like 8 or 10 a day is great. That's what I'm cutting back to. So again, not because they're bad for me, but because I want to feel better. They don't necessarily make me feel the best when I'm eating them. I usually get a headache right after. My stomach is kind of like really pissed. I feel lethargic. I feel gross, but I know that I can have them. It's not the reason that I would be overweight. They're not going to cause me to wake up tomorrow and gain 2 pounds. There's nothing wrong with the carbs themselves. So to clarify, let's cut the shit. Let's be responsible. If we are not putting in the work, then let's not act like we are. Let's not blame lifting weights and you think you'll look manly for not putting in the work and lifting weights. You need to lift weights. You will not look manly. You need to eat carbs. They are good for you. They will not make you fat. It is time for us to take responsibility, to learn things for ourselves, to learn our bodies, to treat our bodies well, to do whatever we need to do, to hire whoever we need to hire. I've been there. And really put in the work to be like, how can I feel energized? How can I feel my best? How can I look my best? What matters as you get older? I know that this probably would resonate with me a couple years ago if I would have heard like, okay, having muscle on your body is so freaking important because you will lose some at a more rapid pace as you age. So freaking pack that muscle on quick. Become flexible because that's kind of hard to come by at this age. You want to have a healthy relationship with food because you need carbs. You cannot starve yourself through health issues, through perimenopause, Christy. You have to be okay. You have to have a solid foundation to make it through some of these challenges, health things that we are going to go through. It's inevitable that we go through perimenopause and menopause, ladies. Apparently, I can't get away from it. You will go through things. You will have health issues. Things will come up. You will go on vacations. You will have parties. You will X, Y, and Z. And you will have to deal with some of these things. So pack that muscle on. Learn how to like carbs and understand them for your body. This is so much more beneficial than just physically. But let's just cut the shit. Maybe that's what I'll name the episode. I'm just kidding. Let's cut the shit. Carbs are not making you fat. We need to learn to love them. So that's the point of this episode. I hope I really drilled that in because I'm really sick of feeling sad when ladies come to me and they're scared to death of carbs. Add them in slowly. If you are afraid of them, track your macros, track everything, not like meticulously, but okay, have a banana every day and see how much weight you gain. Probably freaking none. If you are eating just like you are right now and you have a banana every day, it's probably going to be fine. If you have an apple every day, it's probably going to be fine. If you have a slice of bread every day, if you have 2 Oreos every day, it's probably going to be fine. It is going to be fine. So add them in very gradually and trust me on this one, we need them. Okay. So I hope this was very helpful. Share this episode with a friend who is scared of carbs as well, because again, I want to reach the masses on this one because it's truly life-changing when you have a good relationship with food. I cannot stress that enough. And that is ultimately what I really, really want for you. So I cannot wait to talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to today's show. Go ahead and leave a rating and a review. And of course, follow the podcast so you don't miss out on any future episodes. And I would love it so much if you came to connect with me over on Instagram at Christy Castillo Fit. I will see you next time.